what does that tell you? It tells you that whatever you're selling, you're not the only one. So what can you do? Well, that's the crux of what I'll be talking about today. It's just some of the things you could do to look at your business and some of the tactics you can go through when you want to sell in China. The first is to keep an eye on the horizon. Successful China businesses generally follow a long-term trend, or they identify one and they really latch onto it. For example, our business is online travel. The offline travel industry grows at about 25% a year in China. Anywhere else in the world, that's phenomenal growth, 25% a year, that really compounds. But the online channel, online bookings, that grows at over 100% a year. And that's what TravelZen does, is that we do pure online booking only. You cannot book offline, you cannot book over the phone. Everything is online. If it's poker, we double down online. And that's what we're running with. We create an organization or a platform to get ahead of a trend. So our platform is to provide the best travel experiences for Greater China-based travelers, and in the future for inbound from other countries coming into China as well. So creating a platform that can sit on top of these natural channels that are already growing is one of the smartest things you can do. And strategically, when you're getting into any business, it's always better to swim with the current. Because if you are an average performer in that industry, an industry that's growing at 100%, you grow at 100%. If you're phenomenal, you'll grow even faster. On the other side, if you pick an industry that is shrinking or growing maybe 5% a year, you have to work multiple times harder to get the phenomenal growth that you would have gotten out of a very fast-growing industry. It sounds very simple, but a lot of companies make this mistake. So know where you're getting into, know the trajectory, and try to latch onto something that's growing very fast. And history has taught us here with a lot of big companies now, they just latched onto a big industry, built a platform on it, and just grew along with it. You also have to execute relentlessly. Speed is much better than perfection. And this is coming from a former consultant who I've spent months working internationally on strategy projects. And it can take months to come up with the right strategy for a company, and then you implement it. But here in China, you really have to be very fast. That strategy that you came up with 6 months ago could be very outdated. So here it's more about iteration, getting something out there, testing it, finding out what the market for it is, if you're a little bit left or right, and then learning and then continuing to build on top of that. You got to know where you stand, because we're at an MBA class here. I decided to put a 2x2 matrix, and this is a very simple matrix, but it's at the heart of every business out there. Essentially, all businesses break down into two things. The product, which is what you create, and your distribution and sales, which is how you sell it and its value to the customer. Every single business can fall within this framework. Within China, I found that distribution is one of the most crucial elements here. Distribution means if you have a product, getting it into the customer's hands. People will ask me from outside of China, I have this product. Do Chinese people want it? Will it work for them? 99% of the time, I will say yes, it will work for them. But that's not going to be your problem. Your problem is going to be getting it into the people's hands. With 1.4 billion people here, literally there's a market for everything. Your challenge is getting it into the people's hands. Secondly, if you can sell, you will always, always have a business. So if you look at this matrix here, on the upper left, you create a very unique product, but if you aren't able to get it out there, it's pretty worthless. And again, this sounds very simple, but you have engineers building great products, you know it's great, but they can't distribute it, they can't communicate its value to the customer, and it sits there, and then someone faster wins. Conversely, if you're able to sell, you could be very successful here with a lot of products that don't have much of a product advantage. For example, there was one product that struck me when I came here. It was called Bai Nao Jing. Now Jing is platinum brain. So I looked into this product because it's everywhere. And I was wondering, what is this magic ingredient? And you see the commercials for it on TV. It makes your kids smarter. It keeps your grandparents from losing their memory. It does everything. I started looking into the marketing background of this company and also what the ingredients were. The ingredients are pretty much sugar water and melatonin. which is something that relaxes you. It's nothing magical and anyone can do it, but the creators were very phenomenal with their marketing in China. Early on, they created ads that stressed the magical properties, helping your kids, helping your grandparents, but they also produced PR. There was advertisements that showed, this is questionable how realistic these press releases were, but how this product, Platinum Brain, was ruining Christmas in New York because people were rushing out to buy it. And in the early times before information was as open in China, when people heard things, it was a lot more believable. So it created a maximum demand here. They were able to get that, combined with the distribution, and then really create a niche for themselves here that's been very profitable. So long story short, even if you don't have a very unique product, if you can find distribution, if you can sell, get that message that will really stick to your customer, you will always be in business. Thirdly, you want to avoid comparative disadvantages. And I use BYD as an example. This was very famous because Warren Buffett's company invested in BYD, a Chinese car manufacturer that's going into electrical battery manufacturing and electrical cars. You may wonder, well, why did they choose these guys? Because Warren Buffett he's a sage in the US, he's a sage internationally, he doesn't make mistakes. Then when you think about it, you think about, okay, what does BYD do? They create pretty low-end cars in China, but they do have a very good distribution network in China. And that's a market that's growing. So I would say Warren Buffett bought into the distribution network. But they also are pioneering the creation of not just the electric cars, but the batteries themselves. And I think that is exactly what he bought, is that it's an area where China starts at the same place as the rest of the world. The US doesn't have a lead on batteries, but now you have a company with scientists that are global quality, based in China with Chinese manufacturing and distribution that's ready to compete at a global level. And I think that's why he invested in it. So, you gotta know where you stand. Always aim to be on the top right, where you have the distribution, you have the right message that makes the customer really want your product. And if you also happen to have a unique product that it's hard for people to copy, then you have the magic formula. An example with TravelZen is that we are a live booking engine, which means that when you query on the site, you actually get to see live results. If it's available, it's there. Pretty much every other website is batched. It's data that is outdated. That's an advantage. Another advantage is that when you add hotel to a flight, it automatically gives you a package price, and that's always going to be lower than buying it separately. And you could do this in real time with millions of combinations available throughout Greater China. That's a unique product advantage. A third advantage is that we have what we call open jaw. It's an industry term for very individual travel in terms of flights. You can go to Taipei from Shanghai, and you can fly back to Hangzhou from Kaohsiung in Taiwan, all on one ticket. That's an open jaw ticket. And those things you can book online on travelzen.com, and we can do it at a scale that is very hard for other people to match, especially when you're offline call center. It's very hard to match that. So those are all examples of product advantages that give you a unique ability to deliver. My job over the past year at TravelZen has been able to take those products and to distribute those into China, going to different cities, signing up different partners, running different campaigns so that that unique product and our ability to deliver it is not wasted by being in just one or two cities.